Hello, my geniuses. Welcome to another embryological lecture series today. It's your great size, Lorenzo, and today I'll be doing what we call the development of the liver and the gallbladder. So I'm doing the development of the liver and the gallbladder today. Are you getting that? So in my last video, I did the development of the stomach. So I've done the development of the pancreas. I've done the development of others. So we're in the development of the liver and the gallbladder. So if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on your post notification button so that anytime I drop any video, you'll be sure to be notified. If you want me to make another video for you, or you have a special topic you want me to talk about, or you are confused with any topic, drop it down in the comment section or chat me. And once you chat me, I will make that video solely for you. So let us jump right into the video. Now, to begin this, we want to introduce when does it start? When does the liver start to develop? The liver primordium appears in the mid part of the third week as an outgrowth of the distal part of the foregut. So in the distal part of the foregut, where the foregut becomes the midgut, that junction, that's where the liver grew from. So the liver is formed by the formation or the outgrowth of what we call the hepatic diverticulum. So in that junction before the foregut and the midgut, there's an outgrowth there. That outgrowth just forms a pocket, and that pocket is called the liver diverticulum, or we'll call it the hepatic diverticulum, or the liver bud. So the outgrowth of the mid part between the end of the foregut and the beginning of the midgut have an outgrowth there called the liver bud, or the hepatic diverticulum. Are you getting that? So now we know that the liver is formed from the liver bud, or we call it the hepatic diverticulum. So now, as it forms that pocket, now the cells in that pocket begin to proliferate. The cells in that pocket begins to proliferate excessively. So it begins to proliferate excessively into what we call the septum transversum. Again, now what is the septum transversum? The septum transversum becomes the future diaphragm. It forms the central tendon of the diaphragm. Are you getting now? So these cells from these hepatic cells from the hepatic diverticulum begin to penetrate the septum transversum. That is the mesodermal plate between the pericardium, which is the mesodermal plate between the pericardial cavity and the stalk of the yolk sac. That is where the septum transversum is. So the septum transversum becomes the central tendon of the diaphragm in the future. Are you getting now? But here now it is only separating the pericardial cavity with the stalk of the yolk sac. Don't forget. So you can see in the image, you can see the hepatic diverticulum, which is the long bud. You can see the septum transversum. You can see the stalk of the yolk sac. And you can see the pericardial cavity. So the septum transversum in the IUL, which is intrauterine life, separates the pericardial cavity and the stalk of the yolk sac. So since the hepatic cells continue to penetrate the septum transversum, the connection between the hepatic diverticulum, or we can call it the long bud, the connection between the hepatic diverticulum and the foregut and the narrowed part of the foregut becomes the bile duct. So what is the bile duct? The bile duct is formed by the connection between the liver bud, or we call it the hepatic diverticulum, and the narrow part of the foregut. So that narrow part of the foregut and the hepatic diverticulum, that connection becomes the bile duct. You get that? Remember, the outgrowth of the junction between the foregut and the midgut becomes the hepatic diverticulum. So I'm repeating it over and over again so it will sink to your head. The outgrowth in the junction between the foregut and the midgut become the hepatic diverticulum, or the liver bud. And this outgrowth, the cells here begin to penetrate the septum transversum. And the septum transversum here separates the pericardial cavity from the stalk of the yolk sac. So as cells continue to elongate goes inside the septum transversum. The connection between that hepatic diverticulum and the narrowed part of the foregut becomes the bile duct. Are you getting now? The bile duct, don't forget. Are you getting now? So now how can we form the gallbladder and the cystic duct? A small ventral outgrowth is formed by the foregut. Now inside that same bile duct, inside the bile duct, what happens? The bile duct now forms a ventral out pocket. It forms a ventral out pocket because now we are formed. Basically, I told you that the liver is formed from the liver bud, or the hepatic diverticulum. So the junction between that liver that is forming and the foregut becomes the what? Bile duct. Now in the bile duct now you have a ventral part. That ventral part, that outgrowth continues to go and becomes a what? Gallbladder and the cystic duct. So you see, in the bile duct now, the bile duct, the ventral wall of the bile duct begins to form an out pocket. That out pocket begins to grow excessively. That excessive growth becomes a gallbladder, and the connection between the gallbladder and the bile duct now becomes the cystic duct. Do you understand? So are you getting now? We form an hepatic diverticulum. Between the hepatic diverticulum and the foregut forms the bile duct. The ventral wall of the bile duct also forms an out pocket and grows excessively, forming what? The gallbladder. And in between the gallbladder and the bile duct forms the cystic duct. Are you getting me now? So hope you are getting it small. Now what happened? Differentiation continues. Differentiation, because cells begins to form here. During further development now, the epithelial liver cord now and intermingles. Don't forget, during further development now, the epithelial liver cord now intermingles with the what? Vitaline duct, the umbilical cord, which forms the what? Liver sinusoid. Are you getting me now? So which means the liver naturally is formed from an endodermal proliferation. So this endodermal proliferation, which forms the liver cord, now mixed with the vitaline umbilical vein. So it mixed with the vitaline and the umbilical vein. When it mixes, it now forms a what? Liver sinusoid, or we call it the hepatic sinusoid. So if they ask you how is the hepatic sinusoid formed, it is the endodermal proliferation which forms the what? Liver cord, and that liver cord mixes with the vitaline and the hepatic what? Vein, forming the hepatic what? Sinusoid. Now the liver cord, now remember, hepatic diverticulum first, or the long board. Now this one is what? The hepatic cord, or we call it the liver cord. The liver cord is formed internally by the endodermal proliferation, which intermingles with the hepatic, which intermingles with the vitaline and the what? Umbilical what? Vein, to form the hepatic what? Sinusoid. So hepatic diverticulum, hepatic cord, hepatic sinusoid. Follow it small. It's very easy. Now the liver cord now, which is the internal part now, begins to differentiate and becomes the parenchymal cells and the lining of the what? Biliary duct. Now that liver cord, or we call it the hepatic cord, that intermingles with the vitaline and the what? Umbilical vein to form the hepatic sinusoid, now differentiates into a parenchyma, and that parenchymal cells are called the liver cells, differentiate into a parenchymal cell, and it now lines the biliary duct. And what are the biliary duct? The cystic duct, the bile duct. Are you getting me now? So it lines the biliary duct. Are you getting me now? So always take a key. Take this key notice. So now the hematopoietic cells, the cover cells, the connective tissue cells are all derived from the mesoderm of the septum transversum. Remember I told you that the hepatic cell begin to proliferate inside the what? Septum transversum to form the bile duct naturally before. So now these cells that are proliferating inside the septum transversum, what happens? The mesodermal part of the septum transversum now gives the liver. What does it give the liver? It gives the liver hematopoietic cells, cover cells, and connective tissue cells, because the mesoderm really forms some of these cells. The mesoderm, especially the lateral plate mesoderm, forms all the cells. So the hematopoietic cells becomes our blood cells. The cover cells becomes the macrophages. You get it now? Why? The connective tissue cells helps to put the liver in place. Are you getting it now? So all these cells we say are from the mesoderm. Are you getting it now? But the liver is formed from the what? Endoderm. You get it now? Now how can we form the peritoneum here? When the liver cells start invading the septum transversum, I told you, the liver cells start invading the septum transversum, the organ begins to bulge cordially inside the what? Abdominal cavity. But the stomach, when the stomach begins to proliferate too, when the gastric cell begins to proliferate, what happens? It pulls the stomach obliquely. Remember, when the stomach continues to grow, it is pulled obliquely in the abdominal cavity, in the upper abdominal cavity. Same with these people now. The hepatic cells, when they start proliferating, what happens? They start proliferating alongside towards the septum transversum, they are pulled what? Cordially. You get it now? So when they are pulled cordially now remember I told you that the falciform ligament and the lesser omentum, what did I tell you about them? The falciform ligament and the lesser omentum connect the liver Are you getting me now? Connect the liver, and they are formed from the ventral mesogastrium. So the ventral mesogastrium forms the lesser omentum and the falciform what ligament. Forms the lesser omentum and the falciform what ligament. You get it now? So since you have understood this one now, the lesser omentum and the falciform ligament. I told you that the falciform ligament attaches the liver to the ventral body wall, while the lesser omentum attaches the stomach to the upper part of the duodenum. But one thing you have to know, the free margin of the lesser omentum forms the portal triad. What are the portal triad? Which is number 1, the hepatic artery, the bile ducts, and what we call the portal vein. This forms a portal triad. And the roof of the lesser omentum forms the foramen of what? Winslow. Yeah, now. So now this ventral mesogastrium helps to give peritoneum that uncovers the what? Liver. So the liver is covered by the peritoneum of the ventral mesogastrium, which is from the septum transversum. You get it now? Very, very important. But now the free margin of the what? Falciform ligament contains umbilical vein that what? Obliterates to form the ligamentum teres what? Hepatis. You get it now? So important. Now the formation of the diaphragm and the bare areas of the liver. So naturally I'll have another video for formation of diaphragm, but in summary here, you also know that the mesoderm of the surface of the liver differentiates into a ventral what? Peritoneum. Are you getting me now? The mesoderm of the surface of the liver differentiates into a ventral what? Peritoneum, except from the cranial surface. So now the liver continues stay in connection with the what? Septum transversum also. That's why you see the liver push the right dome of the diaphragm upward, so it's always in contact with the what? Diaphragm. Are you getting me now? And I told you that the septum transversum becomes the central tendon of the what? Diaphragm, and the area of the liver that is close to the diaphragm forms what we call the bare areas of the liver. Are you getting me? Forms the bare areas of the liver. So one thing you have to know, that for the liver to be formed 100% is usually formed when its cells proliferate into the septum transversum, and the septum transversum forms the ventral mesogastrium for it. And when it forms a ventral mesogastrium for it forms the falciform and the what? Lesser omentum. You get it now? So this mesoderm of the liver becomes the ventral peritoneum, and when it becomes the ventral peritoneum, what happens? The ventral peritoneum covers the what? The surface, most of the surface of the liver. So visceral peritoneum, which means it's covering the liver. Do you get it now? So which means if they tell you what covers the liver is an interperitoneal organ. So it is an interperitoneal organ. Why? Because it is formed by the what? Visceral peritoneum from the septum transversum. Why? But the part of the liver that is related to the diaphragm forms what we call a bare area of the liver. But the septum transversum becomes the central tendon of the diaphragm. So the next one is the functional development of the what? Liver. The functional development. So initially in the 10th week, the liver takes 10% of the total body weight. The liver takes 10% of the total body weight. Now, why is it taking 10% of the total body weight? Because of majorly the hematopoietic cells. Remember, I told you that the liver cord differentiates into what? Coffer cells, hematopoietic cells, and connective tissue cells. So due to these proliferations of cells in the liver cord, what happens? It gives the size about 10% of the total body weight. Are you getting that? But when you want to during birth, you want to give birth to the patient, the liver drops to about what? 5% of the total body weight. So it is not 10%. It was before in the 10th week that it is about 10% of the total body weight. But 2 weeks before birth, or 2 months, let us say 2 months before birth, not 2 weeks, 2 months before birth, the liver reduces. I get him now to about 5% of the total body weight. Are you getting that? So why is it 10% of total body weight? Because of the liver cord differentiating into hematopoietic cells, coffer cells, and connective tissue cells. Are you getting me now? So another important function here is that the liver begins to form bile in the 12th week. Are you getting me now? So the hepatic cells begin to proliferate and form bile. So that bile is formed in the 10th week. Meanwhile, since the gallbladder and the cystic duct has been developed already, remember, the gallbladder and the cystic duct are formed from the ventral proliferation of the bile duct. Are you getting now? The ventral proliferation of the bile duct. Now, I told you initially that the ventral wall of the bile duct proliferates much excessively and forms what we call the gallbladder. And its connection between the gallbladder and the bile duct becomes the cystic duct. That is why, as a result of the bile is produced in the 12th week, I told you. While in the 10th week, the liver becomes 10% of the total body weight. While 2 months before delivery of the baby, what happens? It reduces to 5% of the total body weight. That is why bile can easily enter the gastrointestinal tract. So due to this connection between the cystic duct and the bile duct, are you getting now? The common bile duct. That is where bile can enter into the gastrointestinal tract. As a result, it contains and it takes a dark green color. So the bile duct initially, when it is produced, because the bile is produced in 12th week, so the bile duct at that particular point is dark green color. Do you get it now? So due to the proliferation of the liver and the stomach and all these things, the liver takes its permanent position at the right hypochondrium region when you give birth to the baby. Are you getting me now? So it's very, very important to know all these things I'm saying, so because it's so simple. So the liver serves as a major site for hematopoietic function, because this hematopoietic function is that, first of all, it's uncommitted. The stem cells are uncommitted. They are producing every type of blood cells. Are you getting me? It's only doing after birth they become committed to form the colony forming units of blastocyte and lymphoid killer cells or lymphoid stem cells. So I hope it all made sense and you have understood everything I've talked about in the development of the liver. Are you getting me now? So like I said the junction between the foregut and the midgut, there's a proliferation and there's a out pocket which forms the hepatic diverticulum or the liver bud. Are you getting me now? So the hepatic diverticulum of the liver bud cells, the cells in the hepatic diverticulum of the liver bud penetrate the septum transversum. So when they penetrate the septum transversum, what do they form? They form what we call the bile duct. So when they form the bile duct, the ventral body wall of the bile duct proliferates excessively and form the gallbladder with a connection called the cystic duct. Are you getting now? So now, what did I say? The cells, the liver cord now, the cells of the liver cord, what do? They entangles with what? They entangles with the vitelline and the umbilical cord. So when they entangle with vitelline and the umbilical cord, what happens? They form what we call parenchyma and the epithelial lining of the bile duct. But due to this entanglement, what happens? They also form hematopoietic cells, cover cells, and connective tissue cells. And remember, the ventral mesogastrium forms the lesser omentum and the falciform ligament. And this now, the margins and the free margins of all these people forms the portal triad and all that thing. So hope you understand everything I've talked about today. Yeah, I know it is fast. I say it's fast. Are you getting now? I said it's fast. So once you have to know, you have to pause the video, listen to it over and over and over again. So it's very, very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So look at the picture. I repeated it like many times. So that repetition is just for you to understand it. So because I know that you can listen to it and you can understand it. It's very, very important for you to understand it. You have to understand how the liver grows, how the liver forms what it forms. So at the 10th week, it's 10%. At 2 months before delivery, it is 5%. At the 12th week, it forms the bile, and the bile duct is about dark green color. Always remember it. So if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on your post notification button, so at any time I drop any video, you're sure to be notified. If you want me to make a video for you, drop it down in the comment section. I promise I'll make that video for you. So the next one will be we are done with the organs that are formed from the foregut, and I've done the hindgut too. So the next one I'll be moving to is the midgut. So the midgut will finalize the development of the GIT tract, which is from the gut tube. So we have done, after this one now, we have finished formation of the organs from the of the GIT tract, which are from the foregut, the midgut, and the hindgut. So switch to my next video, which is the formation of the midgut. Bye bye.